Hey there. Welcome to Sacred Stillness. This is a quiet space, a sanctuary carved out of the noise, where no one's watching, no one's judging, and you don't have to be okay to stay. Here, you don't need to perform healing. You don't need to force hope. You can just be tired, tender, unspoken, and still loved. Each prayer here is a whisper, not a shout, not a sermon, not a formula to fix your pain, but a voice that sits with you in the dark when you can't make sense of the light. And tonight's prayer is for the ones who only feel safe when they're alone, but are aching in that silence. For the ones who've learned to hide to survive, but now long to be found. It's called, God, I only feel safe when I'm alone, but I'm so lonely here. So if that's you, if you're listening with a lump in your throat and no one beside you, this is for you. You don't have to say a word. Just breathe. Just be. And let this prayer speak what you've never dared to say out loud. Let's begin. Silence that kept me safe. Hey God, can I talk to you from this place? Not from strength, not from certainty, just from the quiet. The one I've lived in for so long, I almost mistook it for peace. You see, this silence used to be my safe place. Not holy silence, not meditative quiet, but the kind that builds itself like a wall. Soundproof, person-proof, heart-proof. I don't remember the exact moment it started. I just know, little by little, I stopped speaking up, stopped reaching out, stopped trusting that I would be met with kindness. Because somewhere along the line, being alone hurt less than being misunderstood. I learned to be okay with the quiet, with the locked door, with the unread messages, with the way people stopped asking if I was okay, and how I stopped hoping they would. And I told myself, this is better. This is safer. This is control. No one can abandon you if you never let them in. No one can betray your heart if they never see it. So I made a home out of silence. I swept the floors of my solitude, decorated the walls with things no one could take away, and built my routines to keep the noise of the world outside. And for a time, it worked. At least, I thought it did. No one saw me break down. No one witnessed the trembling. No one heard the questions I whispered into my pillow at 3 a.m. And because no one saw it, I thought maybe I'd won. But lately, this silence feels different. Not safe, not protective, just hollow. Like I've spent so long hiding, I forgot what it feels like to be held. Like this quiet isn't peace anymore. It's just an echo chamber of all the words I'm too afraid to say. Because the truth is, I'm tired. Tired of pretending I don't need anyone. Tired of convincing myself that isolation is strength. Tired of hearing my own voice and nothing else. There's only so long you can talk to yourself before the silence starts to ache. And I've reached that point, God. The ache point. The soul-level, marrow-deep kind of ache that doesn't come from noise, but from the absence of being known. I never meant to become a ghost in my own life, but I did. I disappear in rooms I used to light up. I shrink when people get too close. I smile when I want to cry, and cry when no one's around to see it. And I tell myself I'm strong. I tell myself I'm independent. But that's just fear in better packaging, isn't it? Because if I were honest, truly, painfully honest, I'd tell you this: I'm afraid of needing people, afraid of depending on them, afraid of being seen in the mess, in the confusion, in the parts of me that still don't make sense even to me. So I stay silent, because at least in silence, no one can reject what they don't hear but God. If you really do hear prayers that are too quiet to speak, then hear this one, this silent one, the prayer from the back of the room, the one from the person who's been fine for too long and doesn't even know what not fine looks like anymore. I'm not okay. But I'm also not sure how to not be okay around people. It's like I forgot how to do that, how to break without apologizing, how to ask for help without shame, how to trust that someone could see me fragile and still stay. I don't want to live like this forever, God. Behind soundproof glass, behind walls I built for survival, behind smiles that don't reach my eyes anymore. But I don't know how to leave this place, this silence, this fortress, because it's familiar. And even though it hurts now, at least I know it. And sometimes the pain you know feels safer than the love you don't. That's the worst part, God. Sometimes I'd rather be lonely and in control than held and vulnerable, because being held feels risky. It feels uncertain. It feels like the kind of thing that could vanish without warning, and I've had too much vanish already. So I whisper instead, not to people, but to you, because you're the only one who might stay when I say things that scare even me. So this is my whisper, God. I feel safer in silence, but I'm not sure it's saving me anymore. I feel safer alone, but I'm so desperately tired of being alone. So I'm asking, can you sit here with me in this silence? Not with answers, not with solutions, not even with promises of how it will all change. Just presence. Because I think that's what I've needed all along. Not someone to fix me, just someone to notice. To sit with me in the stillness and not be afraid of the quiet. If you're really near to the brokenhearted, then maybe you're closer now than you've ever been. Because my heart, it's not just broken, it's locked. And the key is buried under years of I'm fine. But if you have patience for that, if you have grace for the slow unlearning of survival, then maybe I can believe there's more than silence for me. Maybe I can believe that being seen won't destroy me, that needing someone won't erase me, that softness isn't weakness, and that quiet doesn't have to mean alone. I'm not ready to open the door all the way, but I am cracking it open just a little, just enough for you to see in. So if you're out there, if you're close, if you still come close to those who hide, come in. Come into the silence that kept me safe. Come into the room I've lived in too long. Come into the heart that's forgotten how to ask for love. And just stay. You don't have to say anything. Just stay. What I'm afraid to admit. Hey God, there are things I don't even let myself say out loud. Not because they're terrible, not because they're wrong, but because they feel too honest, too raw, too close to a truth I've tried to bury under busyness, silence, and I'm okay. But the silence isn't working anymore. And I think if I don't speak these things soon, they'll turn to stone inside of me. So tonight, God, I want to tell you the things I'm afraid to admit. The thoughts that haunt me in the pauses, the feelings that never make it to daylight, the confessions I rehearse but never release? Can I be that honest with you? Even if my voice shakes, even if my words are messy, even if I still can't say them to anyone else? Because here's the first one, and it hurts. I don't know how to trust love, even when I feel it, even when it's offered, even when it's quiet and steady and shows up again and again. Some part of me always flinches, waits for the shift, for the silence, for the ghosting, for the moment when everything warm turns cold and I'm left wondering what I did wrong. I brace for the heartbreak, even when I'm being held. That's hard to admit, God, because it makes me sound ungrateful. But it's not about gratitude. It's about fear. The kind of fear that grew out of experiences I never processed. The kind of fear that whispers, if they knew the real you, they'd leave too. I hate that voice, but I still believe it sometimes. Here's another thing I'm afraid to say. I want to be held. I want someone to stay, not just in my victories, not just in my clarity, but in my confusion, in my numbness, in my gray. But when someone tries to come close, I shrink. I change the subject. I retreat. Because closeness feels like exposure, and exposure has always meant pain. I can't count how many times I've made myself smaller just to be acceptable. How many times I've swallowed sadness so I wouldn't burden anyone. And now, even the people who might want to carry a piece of my story, they don't get the chance because I've already decided they'll drop it. How do you undo that kind of wiring, God? How do you teach a soul to receive when it's only ever known how to protect? I'm afraid to admit I don't know who I am without my defenses, without my silence, without the routines that keep me from falling apart. What if I take the armor off and there's nothing underneath? What if I've been pretending so long that I've forgotten how to just be? These are the things I never say. Not to friends, not to family, not even in journals sometimes. But I'll whisper them to you, because you don't flinch. You don't roll your eyes. You don't interrupt with advice or shame. You just stay. You stay while I fall apart in sentences. You stay while I confess that sometimes I want to give up. Not on life, but on connection. Because it feels too hard, too confusing, too layered. Sometimes it's easier to disappear quietly than explain the chaos inside. I wish I could be different. I wish I was the kind of person who let love in easily, the kind of person who calls when they're hurting, who reaches instead of retreating. But I'm not there yet. And that's what I'm afraid to admit. I'm still scared, still guarded, still a little too good at being alone. And here's the hardest truth of all. I want to change, but I don't know how. Because I don't just want people around me. I want connection, the kind that doesn't need performance, the kind that doesn't vanish at the first sign of discomfort. But wanting that and believing I'm worthy of it are two different things. And I'm not sure I believe I deserve that kind of love. That's the wound, God. That's the scar I've covered with silence for years. The part of me that says, you're only lovable when you're easy, when you're cheerful, when you're helping others, not when you're weeping, not when you're lost, not when you're asking for more than you give. But that belief is killing me, softly, quietly, slowly, from the inside out, because the more I believe it, the lonelier I become. Not just alone in the room, but alone in my soul, even when I'm surrounded by people. So tonight, I'm naming it, even if it terrifies me. God, I want to believe that I can be loved without having to earn it, that I can be held without having to prove I'm strong first, that I can be chosen even on the days I go quiet, even on the days I disappear, even on the days I can't give anything back. Teach me how to believe that. Show me where I started believing the opposite. Undo the lies, uproot the fears, and if you can, sit with me while I grieve the years I lost to hiding. Because that's what I'm doing now, God. I'm grieving. Not with sobs, not with screaming, but with stillness. The kind that says, I missed out on love because I didn't believe I deserved it. That's a sorrow I don't know how to carry alone. So will you carry it with me? Just for now? Just for this moment? Because even if I can't open the door all the way, even if I'm still afraid to fully come out of hiding, I'm here. And I'm speaking. And that's something, right? That's me beginning again. That's me whispering truth in a voice that used to only whisper fear. So God, I'm afraid to admit all of this, but I'm more afraid to keep pretending I'm fine. So take this truth, hold it gently, don't fix it, just hear it, and keep sitting here until I believe it's safe to say even more.
A fortress built from fear. Hey God, I've been thinking about all the things I built. Not homes, not careers, not achievements, but walls. Invisible ones, made not of bricks and stone, but of fear. It didn't happen all at once. It wasn't dramatic, just slow, quiet, settle. Like putting one stone down every time someone disappointed me, every time a promise was broken, every time I opened up and was met with silence or shame or absence. Until one day, I looked around and realized I wasn't living in freedom. I was living in a fortress, not a palace, not a temple, just a high-walled, tightly guarded structure that I mistook for safety. God, I built it because I had to. Because when I was vulnerable, I was hurt. When I told the truth, I was misunderstood. When I reached out, no one reached back. So I learned the safest place to be was hidden. Hidden behind laughter, hidden behind strength, hidden behind being the one who always has it together. But you know the truth, don't you? I never really had it together. I just learned how to hide the mess well. It's strange how we celebrate people for being strong when often that strength is just fear in disguise. Fear of breaking down, fear of being seen, fear of being told we're too much or not enough. And so I built this fortress, God, layer by layer, pain by pain, memory by memory. I filled the moat with silence, lined the gates with distance, and made sure the doors only opened outward, never inward. Because if I let someone in, they could see the mess. They could see how tired I am. They could see that I don't have all the answers. And worst of all, they could leave. So I told myself, better to be alone in control than vulnerable and abandoned. And maybe that was true once. Maybe I needed that fortress to survive. But now it feels like I'm trapped in something I built with my own hands. Like the very thing that protected me is the thing that's suffocating me. It's hard to breathe in here, God. Hard to hope. Hard to love. Hard to be loved. Because when the walls are too thick, nothing gets in, but nothing gets out either. I've become an echo chamber of my own fears, a museum of old wounds, a place where nothing new can grow, only memories repeat themselves. And I'm tired of guarding every sentence, tired of scanning every room for danger, tired of wondering if kindness is real or just the beginning of a letdown. I want to believe people can be safe. I want to believe love can be gentle. I want to believe I don't have to live behind glass forever. But that feels risky. And risk feels like a luxury for people who haven't been shattered. I've been shattered. And even though the cracks have faded, I remember every single one. So, I build, and I guard, and I isolate. And I tell myself, this is wise. This is strength. This is how you protect your heart. But is it? Or is it just how you slowly starve it? Because love can't live where there's no air, no light, no opening. I think I've built a place where no one can find me. And now I'm scared. Because I actually want to be found. I want someone to knock on these walls. To say, you don't have to hide anymore. To not be afraid of my shadows. To not be scared off by my silence. But even more than that, I want to learn how to open the door myself. To take one brick out, then another, and another, until there's enough space for someone to come in without force. But I don't know how to do that. I've built for so long, I've forgotten how to unbuild. So God, I need you, not to tear the walls down for me, not to barge in without warning, but to sit on the other side, to whisper through the cracks, to remind me that I'm still loved here, even now, and maybe to help me remember what life outside the fortress feels like. Tell me about gardens. Tell me about laughter that doesn't come with a warning label. Tell me about connection that doesn't demand perfection. Because right now, all I know is protection. But I want to learn something else. I want to learn softness, trust, warmth. I want to learn how to let love enter without sounding the alarm. And I think you're the only one I trust to teach me. You who sees every corner of this fortress. You who knows why I built it. You who still calls me out of it, not with force, but with kindness. So tonight, I don't tear the whole thing down. That's too much, too soon. But maybe, just maybe, I'll open a window. I'll let a little light in. I'll breathe. And I'll let you be near, not outside shouting for me to change, but beside me, patient, present, unafraid. Because maybe the first step to healing is letting someone sit with you in the place you thought no one would ever enter. And tonight, that someone is you. So stay, God. Sit with me in the fortress I built. Show me it's okay to rest, even here. Because if I can rest here, maybe someday I can step outside. But for now, just stay.
Why I don't trust anyone. Hey God, I think I need to tell you something that I've never really said out loud. It's not pretty, it's not inspiring, but it's real. I don't trust anyone. Not fully, not completely, not without some hidden part of me holding back. Even the people I care about, even the ones who care about me, there's always a little voice inside that whispers, "Don't get too close. Don't let them see too much. They'll leave when they know the real you." And I hate that voice, but I've listened to it for so long, it sounds like truth now. I wish I could tell you where it started. Was it the first time someone broke a promise? The first friend who vanished without a word? The first time I was told I was too sensitive, too much, too needy? Or maybe it was slower than that. Maybe it was 1,000 little moments, tiny betrayals, quiet abandonments that added up over time. And now here I am, grown, self-sufficient, independent on the outside, but carrying a heart that flinches at kindness. Because kindness has felt like a setup before. Like something people give you right before they take everything else away. I've learned to watch people's tone, to scan their eyes, to read between the lines of their "I'm here for you," because sometimes that meant I'm here until it gets inconvenient. And you know, God, some part of me hates how cynical I've become. I wasn't always this way. There was a version of me once, young, open-hearted, trusting, who believed the best in everyone, who shared freely, who gave without keeping score. But that version of me got hurt. Not once, not twice, too many times to count. And I guess at some point, I stopped believing that love could last, that people could stay, that vulnerability could be safe. So I built my life around caution, measured responses, guarded friendships, polite conversations that never go too deep. It's not that I don't want to trust God. I do. I long for it. I ache for it. But the moment I start to feel close to someone, the fear rushes in. And it sounds like this: they'll use what you said against you. They're only nice because they want something. If they see you broken, they'll walk away. I've mistaken suspicion for wisdom. I've confused hypervigilance with discernment. I've called it boundaries, but deep down, I know. It's just fear. Fear dressed up in grown-up language. Fear that doesn't want to be hurt again. And I get it. I want to protect myself. That makes sense. But sometimes I wonder, at what cost? Because if I never trust anyone, if I never risk being seen, being known, being loved for who I really am, then I'll never actually feel love. I'll just feel control. And control is not the same as connection. You know what's wild, God? I trust you more than I trust people. And even with you, it's taken me years to speak like this, to be this honest, this soft, this unfiltered. So if it's this hard with you, no wonder it's been almost impossible with everyone else. But here's the thing. I don't want to live in suspicion forever. I don't want to flinch every time someone cares about me. I don't want to doubt the good just because the bad showed up first. I want to trust again. Not blindly, not recklessly, but bravely. Because I think it takes more courage to open up again than it ever took to shut down. And maybe I'm ready to try. Not with everyone, not all at once, but with someone. someone patient, someone real, someone who doesn't need me to be perfect in order to stay. Maybe you can help me recognize them. Maybe you can help me be that person for others too. Because I know it goes both ways. I know that if I want people to hold space for my mess, I have to learn how to hold space for theirs. And that's hard too. Because trust is messy. It's not clean or predictable. It's risky, uncomfortable, sometimes heartbreaking. But it's also how love breathes. It's the doorway, the bridge, the surrender. And I've lived without it long enough to know survival without trust is not the same as living. So here I am, God, naming it. I've been scared. I've been bitter. I've been distant. I've punished new people for the wounds of the old. I've shut down tenderness before it had the chance to root. But I don't want to do that anymore. Help me unlearn the fear. Help me rewrite the narrative. Help me become soft again, without being naive. I know I'll still be hurt sometimes. I know not everyone will handle my heart well. But that's not a reason to stop trying. Love is worth the risk. I want to believe that. I want to live like that. So even if it's shaky, even if it's slow, I'm taking one step. Not toward everyone, but toward openness. And maybe that's how it starts. Not with trust handed over like a gift, but with trust rebuilt, like a bridge that takes time. So God, if you would, be the architect with me. Lay each stone with care. Show me how to build connection without fear holding the blueprint. Because deep down, I don't want to live afraid anymore. And if trust is the way out of this prison, then I'm ready to start walking. Even if my hands shake, even if my voice trembles, even if all I can whisper is, "Please don't hurt me," I'll whisper it anyway. Because maybe the whisper is the first step back to trust.
The loneliness I never meant to choose. Hey God, I didn't mean to end up here. This lonely, this distant, this surrounded by people, but still feeling invisible. It wasn't some big decision I made. I didn't wake up one day and say, I'd like to be alone forever. No, it happened slowly, almost silently, like fog rolling in until you can't see what's missing anymore. And by the time I noticed what I'd lost, it was already gone. I think it started with pain. Pain that was too hard to explain, too hard to carry in front of other people, so I started carrying it alone. Then came silence, the kind where I stopped telling people how I really felt, because every time I tried, it felt like too much, too heavy, too messy, too complicated to unpack in the middle of casual conversations. So I stopped trying. And then distance, the kind that creeps in when your presence is always filtered, when you're in the room, but not in the room, when you're smiling, but not feeling, when you're talking, but saying nothing true. And I told myself it was fine, that I was strong, that I was independent, that I didn't need anyone. But here I am, God, with everything I thought I wanted: control, space, solitude. And still, I feel empty.
Not the kind of emptiness that comes from boredom. The kind that comes from absence, from not being known, from not being seen, from not being chosen when I didn't have anything to offer. I didn't mean to choose loneliness, God. I just chose safety. But somewhere along the way, they became the same thing. I thought I was protecting myself, but what I was really doing was isolating myself from the very thing I needed most: connection, presence, softness, love. And now I don't know how to get it back. Because people see the version of me that I let them see. The strong one, the capable one, the listener, the helper. But they don't see me. Not really. Not the part of me that goes home and collapses into silence. The part that cries without knowing exactly why. The part that whispers, "Please, someone just sit with me." But I've made it so hard to reach me. So hard to get past the polite. So hard to be close without being pushed away. And God, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to become unreachable. I just wanted to feel safe. But somewhere along the line, I forgot that love requires risk, that connection requires openness, that intimacy requires truth. And now, I feel like a house with no lights on, a place that looks fine from the outside, but no one really lives there. I miss being known. I miss being asked how I really am. I miss being loved in the quiet moments, not for what I do, but for who I am. But how can I expect anyone to know me when I've made myself unknowable? How can I ask to be loved when I've been hiding the parts of me that actually need it? That's the loneliness, God. Not just the kind that comes from being alone in a room, but the kind that comes from being alone in myself. I carry stories no one knows, pain I've never said out loud, dreams I've buried because I didn't think anyone would care to hear them. And now, I'm haunted by my own silence. I ache in places I can't name, long for connection I don't know how to hold, miss people I haven't even met yet, because I know deep down, someone out there could sit with me in this and not run. But first, I have to believe that's possible. I have to believe I'm worth staying for, even in the quiet, even when I'm not easy to understand, even when I've built walls out of reflex instead of rejection. And God, can you help me believe that? Because I don't want to live in this kind of loneliness anymore. I don't want to keep choosing silence just because it's familiar. I don't want to keep pushing people away and then crying because no one's close. I don't want to keep living like I'm hard to love. Even if I don't fully believe it yet, I want to try. Try to be softer. Try to be seen. Try to be open, even just a little. Maybe I won't always get it right. Maybe I'll still flinch when love comes close. Maybe I'll still need time. But I'm tired of this empty ache. And I think you're the only one I can say that to. Because you won't shame me. You won't call me dramatic. You won't tell me to just be grateful. You'll sit with me in it. In the loneliness I never meant to choose. In the walls I didn't realize I was building. In the silence I thought would protect me, but now just echoes with regret. So I'm asking, gently, can you meet me here? Not to fix it all, not to make everything better in an instant, but just to see me, to remind me I'm not invisible, to hold space for the person I've become and the person I'm trying to return to. Because deep down, I think that version of me is still there. The version who believes in love, who lets herself be held, who doesn't apologize for needing someone, who trusts that her softness isn't a weakness, it's an invitation. Help me find her again. And while I'm searching, just stay with me. Stay with me in this ache. Stay with me in this room I made too quiet. Stay with me until I remember I was never meant to carry love alone.
God, are you even near? Hey God, can I ask you something without needing a perfect answer? Are you even near? I know, that might sound like doubt, but it's not anger, it's not rebellion, it's not defiance. It's a whisper, a quiet, exhausted whisper from someone who's been waiting for you to show up in a way they can feel. I know you're supposed to be everywhere. I know you're supposed to be close to the brokenhearted. I've read that, I've heard sermons about it, I've even told it to other people before. But if I'm being honest, I don't feel you here. Not in the silence, not in the stillness, not in the ache that clings to me even when I try to pray. I've tried to believe, tried to worship through it, tried to be grateful, patient, faithful. But it's hard to keep talking to someone when it feels like you've gone quiet. And I'm not looking for fireworks, not asking for a miracle. I just want to know I'm not alone in this. Because this kind of quiet, it's starting to feel like abandonment. And I don't know if it's me, if I've drifted too far, if I've become too numb, if I've hidden for so long that I don't know how to recognize closeness anymore, or if maybe you've always been here, but I stopped believing you'd want to stay. That's a hard sentence to say, but it's true. I wonder sometimes if I'm too much even for you, if my silence disappoints you, if my questions push you away, if you look at me the way I look at myself, tired, distant, unsure of what's left to give. And I know the theology, I know you don't leave, but it's one thing to know that. It's another thing to feel it when your chest is heavy and your prayers are quiet and the darkness doesn't lift, not even after you've cried your eyes out. I don't need a sign, God. I just need you to stay. Even when I can't feel you. Even when I can't hear anything but my own heartbeat. Even when I close my eyes and wonder if you're listening at all. Because that's where I am right now. I'm not trying to impress you, not trying to perform, not trying to earn some holy moment. I'm just trying to be honest. And the truth is, I feel far from you. And I miss what I never fully had. I miss the kind of nearness that calms you. Not because everything changes, but because you know someone is sitting beside you in the storm. That's what I want. Not answers, not solutions, just presence, just nearness. Just the quiet comfort of knowing I'm not whispering into a void. That my pain doesn't scare you away. That my numbness doesn't make you turn cold. That my doubt doesn't disqualify me from being held. Because this silence I live in, it's not peaceful anymore. It's heavy. It's
haunted by the fear that even you have moved on. So please, if you're still close, if you still want me, still see me, still love me in this tired, guarded, quiet place, show me. Not in loud ways, not in bright lights or sudden shifts, but in something soft, something personal, something I'd only notice if I slowed down long enough to feel again. Maybe a breath I didn't think I'd catch, a tear I didn't expect to fall, a thought I didn't write that sounds more like love than fear. Because I think if you're going to meet me anywhere, it'll be here. Not in the polished places, but in the in-between. The undone. The barely holding on moments where I finally stop trying to look okay. God, are you even near? Because if you are, I need you to remind me that nearness doesn't always feel like noise. That your silence isn't absence. That sometimes being close to you feels like breathing in grief, but not suffocating under it. Let me feel that. Even for a second. Let me know you haven't stopped sitting with me just because I haven't known what to say. Let me believe that you're not afraid of my spiritual exhaustion or my emotional chaos. Because I'm not here with folded hands and memorized prayers. I'm here with trembling, with silence, with 1,000 unfinished thoughts that don't sound holy, but they're real. And that's all I've got tonight. So God, if you're near, be near again. Be near without needing me to perform. Be near without rushing me to heal. Be near without judgment, without pressure, without conditions. Just be near, because that's the kind of love I'm not used to, and the kind I need most. A love that lingers, that waits, that whispers, "You're not alone. I'm still here."
Let me show you where I hide. Hey God, I think I'm ready to show you something. Not because I'm brave, not because I'm healed, not even because I fully trust what will happen next, but because I'm tired of hiding alone. And if anyone's going to see it, the places I've kept locked up, the rooms I never let anyone enter, it should be you. So here it is. Let me show you where I hide. Let me show you the quiet corner of my heart where I keep the things I don't talk about, the memories I've buried under jokes, the fears I've stuffed behind productivity, the tears I've wiped away before anyone could notice. This is the room where I store the I'm fine versions of myself, lined up neatly like masks on a shelf. This is where I go when I'm overwhelmed but don't want to be a burden, when I'm hurting but still smiling, when I need someone but I tell myself I don't. I built this place for protection, a secret space to retreat into when the world got loud and cold and too complicated to navigate. And it worked, God, for a while. It kept me safe, kept me functional, kept me moving. But it also kept me alone. Because no one can love the parts they never see, and I've gotten too good at hiding the ones that hurt. So I want to bring you in. Not to fix it, not to rush me out, just to see it. To sit here with me in the silence I used to call strength, but now recognize as fear. Here, this corner right here, this is where I hide when I feel like a failure, when nothing I do feels good enough, when I look around and wonder why everyone else seems to belong, and I still feel like an outsider in my own life. And this spot over here,
That's where I keep the memories I pretend don't matter. The moments I was left out. The times I tried to speak and was ignored. The rejection that still lingers in my chest, even though I tell myself I've moved on. And if you look over there, that's where I hide the guilt. The guilt for not being stronger. The guilt for needing space. The guilt for not always showing up as the best version of myself. I tuck it away so no one sees it, so I can keep being the reliable one, the steady one, the one who always has room for everyone else's pain, but keeps my own locked away. And you know what, God? Even now, as I try to open this door to you, there's a part of me that still wants to close it because it feels too exposed, too raw, too risky. But I'm choosing honesty, even if my voice shakes, even if I keep looking at the door, wondering if you'll walk away. Because something tells me you don't flinch, you don't recoil, you don't need the polished version of me to love me fully. And I want to believe that. I want to believe that I can let you into the places I've hidden, and you won't leave. You won't judge. You won't try to fix me too fast. You'll just stay. Sit with me. Breathe with me. Notice with me. Notice the things I've tried to forget. The pain that's hardened into patterns. The fear that's shaped my identity more than it should have. I think what I've needed all along was not a God who demands I come out of hiding, but a God who's willing to sit in the hiding place with me. Because sometimes healing doesn't start with light. It starts with presence, with someone who sees the darkness and doesn't try to flip the switch too soon. Someone who says, I see you, even here, even now, and I'm not going anywhere. So come in, God. Sit on this floor with me. Let the silence stretch. Let the air stay heavy if it needs to. You don't have to say anything yet. Just be here. Let me know I'm not alone in the place I created to be alone. And maybe, over time, I'll start to believe that I don't have to hide anymore. That the world won't end if someone sees the mess. That being vulnerable won't destroy me. It might actually save me. But for now, don't ask me to come out. Don't ask me to perform healing. Just stay. In the stillness, in the quiet, in the raw, unseen corners of my heart where I've never let anyone go. Let me show you where I hide, because I think that's where I need to be found.
Don't fix me. Just stay. Hey God, before we go any further, before you say anything, before you do anything, before you reach for the broken pieces I just showed you, can I ask you something? Don't fix me yet. Please, don't rush in to make it better. Don't tie it all up in a bow. Don't try to teach me a lesson right now. Just stay. Stay with me in the ache, in the unfinished, in the not yet healed parts of me that still sting when touched. I know you're capable of healing. I believe you could restore all of this with one breath. But tonight, I don't need a miracle. I need mercy. Not the kind that erases pain, but the kind that sits beside it. Because sometimes what hurts the most is not the wound itself, but the way people try to rush past it. They offer advice. They quote verses. They change the subject. They tell me to look on the bright side when I'm still trying to find the sky. And I know they mean well, but healing doesn't happen in fast forward. It happens in presence, in patience, in the sacred space where pain is allowed to breathe without being told to be quiet. So I'm asking you, God,
Can you be that kind of safe? Can you stay without trying to fix me? Can you hold this space with me without filling it with explanations or expectations? Because I don't need to be told that it's gonna get better. I just need to be reminded that I don't have to go through this alone. That someone, somehow, is willing to stay in the mess without needing to clean it up right away. I don't want to be treated like a project. I want to be treated like a person, a soul, a heart that's doing its best, even when it feels like it's falling apart. And I think you get that. You, who sat with the grieving, who walked with the doubting, who didn't rush the healing or silence the weeping. You stayed. You wept. You waited. And that's what I need now. Not a solution, not a strategy. Just you. Present. Still. Kind. Because I'm not ready to move on yet. Not ready to pick myself up and declare I'm okay. I'm not okay. And for once, I want that to be allowed. I want to sit in the truth of it. Not to wallow, not to give up, but to finally let myself feel what I've been pushing down for so long. The sadness, the confusion, the loneliness. I want to let it rise to the surface and know that you'll still be here when it does. Because I think somewhere along the way, I learned that love disappears when I stop being strong. That when I break, people back away. And maybe that's why I've tried so hard to hold it together for so long. But God, what if I don't have to do that with you? What if you can handle the unraveling? What if you're not scared of my questions or offended by my silence or disappointed in my exhaustion? What if you actually draw closer when everything in me falls apart? That kind of love, I don't know it well, but I want to. I want to believe there's a love that doesn't demand healing first. A love that isn't conditional on how quickly I recover. A love that just stays. No pressure, no hurry, no timeline, just presence. So if you could, if you're willing, sit with me a little longer. In the grief, in the shadows, in the middle of the sentence I haven't finished yet. Don't turn the page. Don't fix the story. Just hold it with me, as it is. Because even if everything eventually gets better, right now I need to know that I'm not abandoned in the middle, that I'm not too broken to be near, that I'm not just waiting to be useful again, that even here, in this moment, in this state, I'm still worthy of love, of presence, of softness, of someone who stays. So God, don't fix me yet. Just stay.
I want to be seen, but I'm terrified. Hey God, this one's hard to say, but I think you already know it's been building. That quiet ache I've tried to ignore. The tension I carry between the deep longing to be seen and the fear that being seen might break me. Because the truth is, I want to be seen, not noticed, not praised, not complimented for how well I hold it all together. I want to be seen, really seen, for who I am underneath it all. The soft parts, the scared parts, the parts I keep hidden because I'm not sure they're lovable. But wanting to be seen and letting myself be seen, those are two very different things.
And here's the hardest part. I'm terrified of what someone might do with that kind of access. Because if someone sees me, truly, deeply, they could reject me. Or worse, they could pretend to stay, then leave once it gets hard. And I've lived through that before. I've opened up only to be met with silence. I've let someone in only to watch them walk away. I've exposed the tender parts of me and learned the hard way. Not everyone handles those parts with care. So now, I flinch. I retreat. I share in half sentences and careful edits. And then I wonder why I still feel alone. It's not that I don't crave connection, it's that I'm scared of the cost, of the vulnerability it demands, of the power it gives someone else to hurt me. And yet, there's this voice inside me that won't go quiet. This whisper that says, you were made to be known. Not just tolerated, not just accepted, but known, fully, deeply, without fear. I want that. I ache for that. But I've also built a life around hiding. Smiling when I want to cry. Saying I'm fine when I'm not. Keeping conversations light so I don't get pulled into the deep end. And I wonder how many real connections I've missed because I was too afraid to show up fully. Because somewhere along the line, I believed that being fully seen meant being fully exposed, and being fully exposed meant being fully alone if it went wrong. But maybe that isn't the whole story. Maybe being seen also means being understood, being held, being chosen not in spite of my mess, but because someone saw the truth of me and didn't run. God, I don't know how to believe that yet, but I want to. I want to believe that someone can see my confusion and not need to solve it. See my sadness and not be scared of it. See my silence and still sit beside me anyway. I want to believe you do that you're doing it now, that you see me in all of this and you're not inching away. Because honestly, most of the time I assume people love the version of me that I've carefully crafted, the capable one, the kind one, the strong one. But if they saw the tears at night, would they still call me strong? If they heard the way I doubt myself, would they still think I'm wise? If they knew how often I feel like I'm just surviving, would they still think I'm enough? Those questions haunt me. And so I hide. And then I wonder why I feel so invisible. So I'm here, God, not with answers, but with a confession. I want to be seen, but I'm terrified of what that will cost. And maybe, just maybe, this is where I start. With you. With honesty, with no mask, with no carefully curated sentence. Just the messy, beating truth of it. I want someone to see me and not look away. To see the tired, to see the scared, to see the still healing wounds I try to dress up with I'm okay, and still say, you don't scare me. I'm not going anywhere. So God, if you can see me now, really see me, and you still love me, still want me, still choose to stay, then maybe that's where healing begins. Not with fixing, not with performing, but with being seen and still loved. I want to believe it's possible. Even if it's new, even if it's fragile. Even if I can only open the door a little bit at a time. Let me start here. Let me learn what it means to be safe in someone's gaze, to be held without having to hide. And if you'll keep sitting here with me, I think I can start to show a little more. Little by little. Layer by layer. Because maybe the terrifying thing, being seen, is also the thing I've needed most.
The ache beneath the numbness. Hey God, can I be honest about something I've been afraid to admit, even to myself? I don't feel much anymore. At least not the way I used to. Not with the depth, not with the clarity, not with the warmth that once made me feel alive. And the scariest part is, I didn't notice when it started. It didn't happen overnight. It was slow, subtle, the kind of slow that creeps in like fog until you can't remember what the sun used to feel like. I used to cry easily, used to laugh loudly, used to care deeply about little things. A song, a sunset, a quiet "how are you" that actually meant something. But now, everything feels dulled. I smile when I should, nod when I'm expected to, even say I'm okay so convincingly that people never think to question it. But under the surface, there's just nothing. Not rage, not grief, not even sadness, really. Just this quiet, hollow ache that I've learned to live with. A weight that rests behind my ribs, just heavy enough to notice, but never loud enough to explain. And it's strange, God, because I remember what it felt like to care, to feel joy without guarding it, to feel sorrow without numbing it, to let emotions move freely through me instead of holding them hostage in silence. I miss that version of me. I don't know where she went. Maybe she got tired. Maybe she got hurt too many times. Maybe she just faded, bit by bit, every time I told myself, don't feel this, it's too much. And now, numbness has become my shield. Because it's easier to feel nothing than to risk feeling everything. But here's the thing I didn't expect. Numbness doesn't protect me from pain. It just traps me in it. It keeps the ache frozen in place, untouched, unprocessed, unspoken. And I know, deep down, there's something still alive beneath it. Something that still longs, still hopes, still aches, even when I can't fully feel it. Because every now and then a moment breaks through. A song that hits too close, a memory that surfaces without warning. A night like this where the silence is too loud to ignore. And suddenly, I feel it again. The ache beneath the numbness. The part of me that still wants to be loved, still wants to be understood, still wants to be held. Not because I'm useful, but simply because I exist. That ache scares me, God, because if I let it rise, I don't know what else will come with it. Tears? Anger? Grief I've buried for years? I'm afraid of being overwhelmed. Afraid that if I feel too much, I'll never be able to contain it again. But also, I'm afraid of never feeling anything again. Of walking through life with a muted heart. Of watching joy from behind glass. Of surviving without ever truly living. So maybe this numbness wasn't built to protect me, but to keep me from risking love again. And maybe it's time to feel. Not all at once, not everything right away, but something. Even if it's small, even if it's shaky,
even if it's just this quiet ache rising now as I whisper to you. Because I think you're the only one who can sit with me as the feeling returns. Not rush me, not demand healing. Just stay as I thaw. Because that's what it feels like, God. Like winter breaking beneath my skin. Like warmth returning to frozen places. And with it, pain. But also hope. Hope that I'm not broken forever. Hope that feeling isn't something I've lost. Hope that there's still life inside this tired soul. So if you're near, stay with me in this. In the ache, in the numbness, in the slow, quiet returning of what it means to feel. Don't ask me to name it all yet. Don't ask me to understand it. Just be here. Let my tears come in their own time. Let my heart speak in fragments if that's all it can do. Let this be enough. That I'm feeling something again. And that I'm not alone in it.
If I cry, will you still love me? Hey, God, I need to ask you something, and I already know it sounds fragile, maybe even childish, but I've carried this question for so long, buried under smiles, buried under strength, buried under everything I've used to look okay. So here it is. If I cry, will you still love me? Not if I cry quietly, not if I cry in poetic, beautiful ways, but if I fall apart. If I sob so hard, I can't breathe. If I can't form the right words. If the tears are messy and long and inconvenient, will you still stay? Because somewhere along the way, I learned to associate love with performance, love with perfection, love with being pleasant and useful and composed, but not with crying, not with breaking, not with the raw, aching truth that sometimes I just can't hold it all together. So I don't cry around people. Not anymore. I wait until I'm alone. I hide it in the shower. I bury it in pillows. I stifle it mid-sentence because I don't want to be too much. Because in the past, crying didn't bring comfort. It brought distance. It made people uncomfortable. It made them pull back, or look away, or tell me to calm down. And so I learned to silence my sorrow before anyone else had the chance to do it for me. But you're not like them, right? You don't flinch at tears. You don't need me to tidy up my grief to feel worthy of being held, right? I want to believe that. Because tonight, I don't have any words left. I don't have the strength to put on the usual armor. All I have is this trembling heart and these tears that won't stop falling. They aren't dramatic. They aren't loud, but they are honest. And I need to know, if I bring this to you, if I cry here, in this silence, will you still love me? Not tolerate me, not wait until I pull myself together, but actually love me. Right here, right now, as I am. Because the deepest fear I carry is not just being rejected, it's being rejected in my need. It's seeing me crumble and deciding I'm not worth the trouble. It's seeing the weakness and choosing to walk away. And God, if I'm being painfully honest, sometimes I wonder if you'll do the same.
Not because you're cruel, but because I project human fragility onto divine love. I assume your patience has limits. I assume your closeness is earned by emotional strength. I assume you'll be proud of me when I'm composed, but quietly step back when I'm not. And I hate that I think that way, because I know it's not true. I know you don't love like people do. But the fear is still there. So tonight, I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to apologize for the tears, not going to shrink my sadness into something more acceptable. I'm just going to cry, and I'm going to hope with everything I have left that you'll stay, that you'll still call me beloved, that you won't need me to stop crying to feel close to me. Because I don't need answers right now. I don't need a solution to everything that hurts. I just need love. Safe love, soft love, steady love that stays even when the mascara smears and the voice shakes and the whole body says, I can't do this alone anymore. I want to believe you're here, that you're listening to the words behind the tears, that you understand the pain even I can't explain. Because you've cried too, haven't you? You've wept for the world. You've wept for the forgotten. You've wept in gardens when the weight was too much. So you know, you really know. And that makes you safe. Not because you'll wipe the tears away instantly, but because you won't be scared of them. You'll hold the shaking hands. You'll sit in the dark. You'll whisper comfort, not in solutions, but in presence. So I'm going to let go now of the pressure, of the pretending, of the idea that I have to be okay to be loved. I'm not okay. And if you can love me here, in this tear-streaked, hollow-chested moment, then maybe that's what healing actually looks like. Not the absence of crying, but the assurance that I don't have to cry alone. So God, if I cry, will you still love me? I'm already crying. Please, just say yes.
Can you sit in my silence? Hey God, I don't have much to say tonight. Not because I don't care, not because I'm ignoring you, but because I'm tired. Not just body tired, but soul tired. The kind of tired that lives in the spaces between thoughts. The kind that makes it hard to string words together, even though everything inside still aches to be known. So I just need to ask you something, and I hope it's okay that it isn't poetic or polished. Can you sit in my silence? Not talk through it, not fill it with answers, not ask me to explain what I can't name. Just sit. Be here. With me. In the quiet. Because I think sometimes the most sacred kind of love isn't loud. It's still. It's steady. It's not afraid of the pause. And I need that right now. I need to know that I don't have to perform for you. That I don't have to keep speaking to prove that I'm still here. That I'm still listening. That I still believe, even if I'm too exhausted to say it out loud. Because, honestly, there's something tender about silence. But it's also terrifying. Because silence has meant many things in my life. Neglect, rejection, disconnection. So I brace for it. I fill it, avoid it, talk over it, distract myself from it. But
sometimes there's nothing left to distract with, and the silence just is. And in those moments, I wonder if you'll still stay. If you'll still sit close when the conversation stops, when the words run dry, when all I have left is a deep breath and a gaze that can't quite meet yours. Because I've learned how to be loud in my faith, learned how to pray in passion, how to speak hope, how to sing belief. But I haven't yet learned how to be quiet and still feel loved. So this is new for me, and I'm afraid of what it means. Will you think I've given up? Will you misunderstand the silence as disinterest? Will you move on to someone louder, braver, more articulate? Or will you recognize what this really is? A whisper without sound, a reaching without movement, a prayer wrapped in breath instead of language. Because God, this silence is not absence, it's surrender. It's the sound of someone who's finally stopped trying to earn rest. Someone who's laid down the armor, not because the battle's over, but because they can't lift it anymore. So I'm here, wordless, soft, still. And I'm hoping that's enough, that you'll stay, that you won't ask for more right now, that you'll take this silence as the most honest thing I can offer. Because sometimes, sitting together in quiet says more than 1,000 perfect sentences ever could. Sometimes, the most healing thing in the world isn't being spoken to, but being sat with. Not being explained to, but being understood without words. So God, I don't need a sermon. I don't need a solution. I don't need a sign. I just need you to sit here, in the stillness, in the slowness, in this place where all I can offer is presence and the hope that it's enough. Let this silence be shared. Let it hold both of us. Let it speak in ways language never could. And maybe later, maybe tomorrow, the words will return. Maybe I'll feel stronger. Maybe I'll be ready to talk again. But for now, just sit. Just breathe. Just stay. Because even in the silence, especially in the silence, I still need you. I still want you near. So if you're here, don't try to wake the words. Let me rest in this hush. Let me be known without explanation. Let me be loved without saying anything at all. And maybe one day, I'll stop being afraid of the quiet, because I'll remember this moment, where you didn't leave. You just stayed.
Learning to open a door. Hey God, I think I'm ready for something I've been avoiding for a long time. Not a miracle, not a breakthrough, not even clarity. Just a step. A small one. The kind that doesn't look like much on the outside, but feels massive on the inside. I think I'm ready to open a door. Not fling it wide open, not pretend I'm fearless, but maybe just crack it open an inch or two. Let in a little light, a little air, a little possibility. Because for so long, I've been shut away, in silence, in fear, in this place I built to protect myself. And it's not that it was wrong to close the door back then. I needed it. I needed somewhere safe, somewhere quiet, somewhere mine. But now, it feels less like safety and more like a cell. And something in me is whispering, it's time. Not to run, not to leap, not to tear the walls down, but to learn, to unlearn, to try. And so I'm here, with my hand on the handle,
and my heart pounding quietly in my chest. Because opening this door, even just a little, feels terrifying. What if someone walks in and I'm not ready? What if they expect more than I can give? What if I let them see something I can't take back? But also, what if no one ever comes in because I never made it possible? What if I stay behind these walls forever, longing for connection, but too afraid to make it possible? What if healing begins not with being fearless, but with being willing? So God, I'm asking for help. Not to open the door all the way, not to change overnight, but to learn how to do this. How to let something in again. How to let love take up space in my world without assuming it's a threat. How to believe that someone could come close and not disappear the moment it gets real. Because I've gotten so good at protecting myself that I forgot how to receive, how to welcome, how to trust, how to say, I don't have everything figured out, but you're welcome here anyway. I want to remember how to say that again. To you, to myself, to the few safe people in my life who have tried to knock but never knew how to enter. Because I've kept the door closed for so long, they stopped trying. And I don't blame them. This has been mine to open, mine to face, mine to release. So today, God, I open it. Just a little. Maybe no one sees it. Maybe no one even notices. But you do. You've seen the walls. You've watched the years pile up around my heart. You've waited with the kind of patience I can't understand. And you've never forced the door open, not once. You just stayed nearby. And now, I think I'm ready to invite you into more than just the broken places, into the places I hope for. Because healing doesn't just mean cleaning up what hurts. It also means relearning what hope feels like. And I haven't hoped in a long time. But opening this door, even slightly, even nervously, that feels like hope. Not big, not loud, but real. So if I open it, will you come in gently? Will you move slow? Will you not fill the space with noise, but just with presence? Will you remind me that not everything that enters my world will break me? That some things might actually build me? That some people might actually stay? And if I get overwhelmed, if I step back for a moment, if I close the door again to catch my breath, will you stay close to it? Not guilt me, not shame me, just remind me that you're still near. Because this is hard, but it's happening, and that matters. This is me choosing something new, not because I've stopped being afraid, but because I'm tired of being ruled by it. I'm learning, slowly, gently, with you, to open a door, not to everyone, not all the way, not yet, but to something better than fear, to the possibility of connection, to the hope of presence, to the reality of love that doesn't demand perfection. So here it is, the door, cracked open, hinges creaking softly in the quiet, and me, still scared, still unsure, but willing. God, help me walk through it, when I'm ready, with you beside me, step by step, breath by breath, into the light I closed myself off from, back into the world I stopped trusting, and maybe one day, into someone's arms who loves me like you do.
I'm still scared, but I'm ready. Hey God, this is it, isn't it? The part where things begin to shift. Not because everything is suddenly okay,
but because I've chosen not to hide anymore. And I won't pretend I'm walking into this moment without fear. I'm still scared, still uncertain, still shaky in places I wish were stronger, still haunted by the what ifs, the what could go wrongs, the echoes of past pain that whisper, "Are you sure you can handle this?" But here's the difference now. I'm not letting fear decide for me. Not this time. Because something inside me, something quiet but firm, is saying, I'm ready. Not because I feel brave, not because I've conquered the sadness, but because I finally believe that love is worth the risk of being seen. And God, you've taught me that. Not with speeches, not with pressure, but with presence. With the way you sat in the silence, with the way you stayed through the numbness, with the way you didn't flinch when I cried, or pull away when I stopped talking. You just stayed. And now I know that real love doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't rush healing. It doesn't panic when it's met with grief. It waits. It listens. It walks at the pace of trust. And because you loved me like that, I can love myself like that too. Maybe not all at once, but gently, steadily, one breath at a time. I'm still scared, God. I won't lie. There are parts of me that still brace for rejection, still expect the silence to return, still assume that I'm too much, or not enough depending on the day. But fear doesn't get the final word anymore, because I've tasted what it means to be loved, not for how well I hold it together, but for how honestly I fall apart. And now I want more of that, not just with you, but with life, with people, with moments, with a version of me I've kept hidden for too long. I want to try, to step out from behind the mask, to let someone see the unpolished, unfinished parts of me without running to cover them up, to let kindness reach places I used to shield, to let love linger without pushing it away out of habit. I want to sit at a table and not feel like I have to earn my place at it. I want to rest without guilt, speak without shrinking, cry without apology. And I want to believe, really believe, that I was never too broken to be loved like this, that I was never too distant to be reached, never too guarded to be understood, never too far gone to be brought home. You brought me here, God, to this edge, this new beginning, this holy, trembling threshold between the old and the possible. And now, I choose to take the first step, not alone, not unafraid, but honest. I'll probably still have days when I retreat, moments when I question everything, nights when the silence returns and the ache rises again. But I'll remember this, that I was met in the silence, held in the ache, loved in the unraveling. And that's enough to keep going. So here I am, not perfect, not fully healed, but willing. And sometimes that's the bravest thing a heart can do. So walk with me, God, into the light, into connection, into the slow, beautiful work of becoming whole again. I'm still scared, but I'm ready.